Hi everyone, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm doing another speed build. I am telling you, I'm working on my Sims 4 saves file and I have been so inspired to build. I still think I'm out of practice and I'm working on it, but I had this idea that I wanted to recreate this base game shell that you see behind the build that I am doing. Obviously the build I'm doing is not entirely base game, but the shell that I used was, and I absolutely had a great time doing this. This was inspired by a video that I was watching of these two women who bought a used bookstore in small town America, and I was just like, the dream, bestie, the feminine urge to buy a bookstore that is also a bakery, that is also a cafe. That was the inspiration behind it, and I went with this blue and yellow theme, very much inspired by the exterior of this home. And my idea, this is in New Crust. I'm trying to go through my save file world by world, not strictly, because if I'm inspired to go somewhere else, then I will definitely go somewhere else. Like I want to build some apartments and upcoming videos, and I just had such a great time building this. And I was saying, I'm doing this world by world, and you cast my ideas that it's a lot of old houses that were converted into like retail properties or community lots. So I did a old like mansion that was converted into a community center in a different area in Newcrest. This little strip is the strip that's like the main one in Newcrest, like a bunch of empty lots just kind of all in a row. And this is what I imagine to be the main street of the town of Newcrest. So it's going to be a bunch of retail lots. This is very much in my mind owned by a Sim who always wanted to own her own bookstore. So she went and she bought a house and just gutted it, painted the walls this beautiful soft yellow, did a little bit of landscaping, and it's supposed to be a used bookstore, but they do of course sell new books. Now I had so many ideas for this lot, and I just want to tell you I had such a good time doing this, but this video, as you can see, is not even 8 minutes long. It took me 3.5 hours to build this. Not because it was a particularly complicated build. Ultimately, this is a box, but because I was scrolling for the perfect squash, like the tables that used to be placed by the windows, this idea for this bar height, like work area, I looked for that table for 15 minutes. Because I couldn't find one that fit perfectly into the space, and it had to overlap. And unfortunately, because it had to overlap, that means that it couldn't perfectly function as a computer working space. But I put 2 laptops on there that you'll see in a minute that work beautifully. And then I knew that for this section, this half of the bookstore, I wanted it to be a cafe. So I used Get to Work. I use a number of packs in here to build it. And this was definitely also inspired by the new-ish book kit, which I just love. I am such a huge reader. I have my own booktube channel. So reading is something that I'm really passionate about. And I love the idea that I created this in the Sims 4. You'll see that the layout of the books themselves will change. One, because I do want to add seating in here with these big, beautiful arch windows and the gorgeous view. I just imagine coming in and sitting down and looking at the view. You'll see that briefly in this video, I did try to put some bookshelves in the center of the like cafe bookstore, kind of like how it would be if you went in when there were like tall bookshelves in the middle and you're kind of like looking through the shelves. Great in real life. In The Sims 4, it doesn't really work because it disrupts your field of vision. So if you're playing, you're not going to be able to see past those bookshelves because they don't go down with the walls, if that makes sense. So instead I went for like bookish coffee tables that have a bunch of displays featuring lots of children's book. The Sims 4 unfortunately doesn't let you have like multi-use lot types, so I couldn't have this be a cafe and a bookstore and a retail lot. So technically this is only a cafe and your Sim can't go in here and buy anything but coffee, but they can still use everything that is in the store. And I cut out huge chunks of the video just to show you how much I'm scrolling through debug for these stacks of books and these copies of books. So I have like a skill building coffee table, then I have the children's coffee table, and then I have like miscellaneous popular fiction. As if, you know, it matters to your Sim. It doesn't, but for me, this is supposed to be like my dream bookstore, and I love how simplistic it turns out. I did have to fight the urge a lot to over clutter this lot, and as it is with all of these debug books, it is quite a lot of items onto the lot, but I couldn't have a bookstore for me and just like have shelves. It needed to have displays, and with the idea of using coffee tables instead of like the big bookshelves that I want to do in the middle, I figured it could also be an additional seating area. It's supposed to be be very inviting. You'll notice this bathroom is pretty big, and I do make it a full-size bathroom. Something that you're gonna see in a lot of my lots is that they always have a full bathroom, even if it's a community lot. So this is a cafe and a lounge, and there's a shower here and a locker. For me, in my mind, it's useful for rags to riches, but in my mind as well, in this save file, a lot of the lots have full-size showers to aid the homeless community and the homeless Sims in The Sims 4. So your Sims could just go in there, or homeless Sims in my mind can just go into these lots, have a fresh shower, grab some food, and it's something that the Sims government really advocates for and prioritizes, and the taxes that your Sims pay go towards this initiative. So that's why my lots often do have full-size bathrooms, even if they are community lots. Of course, the ambulance would be passing now. So you can see I go for a very soft, kind of just natural feeling plates. It's colorful, it's bright, but there's a lot of greenery. I have like the towel hooks in the bathroom where your Sims would hang up their dirty towels just to let them know that it needs to be washed and clean. Of course, I have a pride flag up and just a little bit of decor. As I was saying earlier, I really had to fight the urge to put a bunch of clutter items and a bunch of decor, just because when there are a ton of items in the lot, it not only makes it hard for your Sims to like route around the items if they're too close together, but also because the more items there are on your lot, the more there is a demand on your PC. So I wanted to keep this fairly simple. You'll notice around the lot, I have these little squares on the ground. Don't worry, those are not visible in play mode or live mode. It's just dragonflies. So what it tells the game is to spawn dragonflies around the area, which I thought would be so fun, especially at night with this gorgeous view in Newcrest, just looking out with like the glowing fireflies. I've been saying dragonflies the whole time. The beautiful fireflies all around, just having those little glowing bits of light. And Newcrest to me is an offshoot of like Willow Creek, so I imagine a very humid, hot area. So that is the end of the video. There were a lot of quote-unquote thrifted items in here, so you'll see the butterfly chairs and things that are mismatched. It's just because I imagine that the woman who owns this bookstore thrifted a lot of the items that are in there or was gifted them. But I hope that you enjoyed this video as always, and I'll see you in my next one.